Hello, hey, hi everybody. I said hello, not hello. Being that because I choose not to employ the uses or uses or use that word anymore. After that, I myself personally being that my person had received that being a which would be commonly called and commonly known as an epiphany, or so I say, if I'm not mistaken, or as I had received a revelation or vision in that same line of thought, in a sense of the word, so far as wanting to go about eliminating that word from my vocabulary after I had read something off of a leaflet, being of a periodic or publication, whereas it was saying in more words or less. So I paraphrase, if not quote exactly, and that is to greet somebody else of another person or a human representing our own species with that being of the word hello. HE and a couple of hockey sticks plus zero or O, or HE and a couple of toothpicks plus O, or HE double L plus O, or HELLO is to possibly wish a curse upon somebody else, and as the root word to that particular word, being a which is supposed to be signifying similar, whatever I say, being a which is supposed to be that of a greeting, is the word HELL, hell, being a which is to be defined as translated meaning, or where the description to that word is that being of a place of torment. Or in other words, you're saying to another person from there when you greet one with the word hello, something similar to have a Disney day. That particular corn phrase, which is, you know, similar to somebody else telling another person to go to damn hell. Mm-hmm. You already know that when a Disneyland employee tells an unsatisfied patronizing customer to leave its premises of properties, being because one's person seems to be going about that of actions being a witches, or for that matter, expressing oneself as well as one could do physically, then verbally, in some kind, sort of type of way, being a which could possibly make other patronizing customers for that particular theme park feel quite uncomfortable with that person's presence upon the premises of properties for that particular public facility. You know, be it the results of developments of a misunderstanding or not. And whereas from there, they would make a request for you to leave, and then they would say, have a Disney day, as they could escort you off of his premises of properties with the assistance of its own law enforcement personnel detail, being whom will be working in cooperation with the much more familiar law enforcement officials, as in police officers or cops, and regardless of whether or not they will welcome you back in the future. Whereas when they say have a Disney day, whereas Some know what that means compared to others who don't. And for the sake of argument, as a matter of fact, speech to go about explaining to those who don't know when a Disneyland employee tells you to have a Disney day, their meanings something along this line of thought, like go F yourself, as well as go to damn hell. And whereas you don't know what they're saying in that line of thought, then you're at a total loss, whereas you could possibly think that they're, giving you some kind of polite send off, that is quite the contrary. Okay. And so I myself, I will no longer greet anybody with the word hello. Okay. Being that because it's like you're wishing a curse upon somebody. Or rather instead, I will replace it with or substitute that word with the other, though it sounds synonymous or similar to that one, but it has, a different connotation and meaning or whatever I said, and not to mention different spelling. Whereas the word hello is HELLO, the word halo is HALO. So halo. Hey, hi everybody, social media family, and any visitors to my own personal chat room and or channel. How you all doing? It's good to seem to have a compulsive disorder of physical gesture at the moment. I mean, after all, I don't want to look like ragamuffin, or the boyfriend of Raggedy Ann. Then neither nor do I want to be confused with or mistaken for one of those derelict transients of homeless bums either. Been there, done that, don't want to do it again. Speaking upon that last mention, whereas presently I've been doing some such extra household cleaning chores so that I myself will be less likely to, like say, how you say, unreasonably be placed into a rather problematic situation of a predicament, whereas I myself, being that of my person, could possibly unreasonably, after likewise unjustifiably being subjected to experiencing that of a status to become of the rank and file, statistical ratio percentiles up to the time that a civil and a human rights violation offense will be rectified or resolved of the issue within a court of law before a judge, jury, and counsel for defense, attorneys or lawyers or whatever I would say. And so I'm doing some such extra household cleaning chores, so that I won't become one of the destitutes of that nature. Speaking upon those matters now that it comes to my, and all the while that my person was being harassed, intimidated, and persecuted, or terrorized and or traumatized by a cowardly bully, or terrorist wannabe, or psychopath, sociopath, sadomasochist, sadist, proverbial neighbor from hell, being one of the dime a dozen public nuisances or problem neighbors, being of whom just continues to attempt to show me how ignorant, insane, and impolite, or stupid, sick, sadistic, and rude he himself can or could possibly become or be. Not to mention demon possessed. And I have had to put up with this for the longest, and regardless of how I had went through all the proper policies and procedures of protocol, to address this here issue in the hope of resolving it, being my stated grievances or complaints about this one character, from informing the management of the building where I'm presently at as a resident or tenant paying annual monthly rent, etc., to making contact as in dialing the emergency number of 911 for police assistance, or giving peace officers representing officials of employ for that being the law enforcement community. And because you know how some people can or could possibly become or be of the likes of real airheads, as in brain dead or brainless. And whereas we have more than enough of the likes of Looney Tunes or Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops or Crackpots or Cranks, sickos upon the increase, as they will be moonlighting as El Stupido Dumb costs for effing idiots. Stupid does as stupid feels, and life is too short to permit somebody to attempt to rub you the wrong way or step upon your toes, and then some, to attempt to take you hostage to their rather twisted, warped, wicked mindset. Like some kind, sort of type of a gay pedophile Catholic priest scoping, then stalking, and then vamping or preying upon, much rather than instead think of it with mind's intentions otherwise, to prey with any of the likes of their underage male minor sexual assault victims or rape victims. And as it would more than seem to be just a rumor that the average Catholic priest or the majority of Catholic priests are of the likes of, that is most of them, of gay pedophiles or closet gay pedophiles or whatever I said. www.godhatesfags.com. Be they the likes of gay pedophiles or not, or gay pedophile Catholic priest wannabes for that matter, not to mention gay pedophile Catholic priest force. Yeah. No, I'm not a card-carrying member to the Westboro Baptist Church with its blasphemous email being of the same, the said in question and of the former previous prior mentioned. Although I do like some, if not all, I said like, well, maybe that's the understatement. From liking to loving some, if not all of such of its own social media broadcasts of videos, where sometimes they be on the money, other times they be just ever so, like say, or how you say, what's the word I have in mind? Contradictory, something like that. And I'm not about to become complacent with, the possibilities of my person being hoodwinked by whatever or whosoever phonies, especially of a religious nature, as I can't soon forget the last mind rape, as I would call it, mind sexual assault or mind rape, coming from a black preacher man for a black church that himself presides over in a black neighborhood community, predominantly black neighborhood community, where he himself had used some of such rather choice words against me, as in expressed himself with expletives of profanity, or to put that in layman's term, to translate to be defined as meaning for those who do not understand what I was saying last, whereas himself had cussed me out, and pretty bad too. And it was rather trivial. It was something that could have been avoided, but due to a misunderstanding on his part, not on mine. Whereas from there, he was telling me to, in more words or less words, I was receiving a telephone call from my electronic device of a cell phone coming from a second party on the opposite end of the line, whereas I was merely telling him or informing that his person or whatever I've said that presently I'm upon the premises of properties for an atmosphere of a church facility, and I would appreciate it if you were to call me back later. Before you know it, the preacher man in question, or being of the same as said in question of the former previous prior mentioned, he must have ran from the pulpit, because within that same minute, where it's 1 minute he's at the pulpit, cussing and swearing at me, telling me to, that is, turn that damn cell phone off, put that damn cell phone in your pocket, or I will put my damn hands on you and throw your ass out of this church. Then within that same minute, was I'm trying to do just that, I'm looking up. He's standing up right alongside of me while I'm seated down, and spit flying out of his mouth and so forth while he's yelling and screaming at me, cussing me out like a drunken sailor upon shore leave. And whereas I'm trying to tell this other brother, man, I have to get back with you. Look, you see, turning myself on more or less in the direction of the belligerent baboon, monkey, ape of a contrary black brother that would make the rest of us black brothers look bad, as he's misrepresenting real or true manhood, like a neighbor from hell, cocksucker. Look at the footnotes. You are of the average homos or faggots who may take offense at the last mention. It was not meant to be a sarcastic, negative remark or comment of a derogatory nature at any of you all. You can take it for what you want, because I consider a male person representing the masculine gender for our own human species, who represents less manhood, be one gay or not, who could possibly be coming off like a cowardly bully, who has no balls, or a terrorist wannabe, or whatever I've said, to be compared on to a gay guy or homo or faggot. But then I'm not meaning to offend. I'm just saying for the sake of argument. And as a matter of fact, they would be considered as being more gay than the average gay guy, or representing that much less manhood than the average gay guy, if I'm not mistaken. Whereas the average gay guy don't be like so much as coming off like a cowardly bully of a male character. Am I right or wrong? If I am, so far as concerning whether or not that is the case, then somebody correct me, And although a lot of gay guys be attempting to come off like cowardly bullies and terrorist wannabes, but not as much as the much more familiar cowardly bully and terrorist wannabe male characters out there in the streets, street punks and skinheads, whatsoever races, etc. So I'm telling this preacher man, okay, just give me a minute. Turn it off now. I said, what do you think I'm trying to do? And I'm like turning myself and saying, look at this guy up there. He's supposed to be a man of the cloth. He's cussing and swearing at me, and I'm trying to tell him I'll get back with you later. Acting like he won't give me a chance to, turn my cell phone off and so forth. Acting all crazy, like a drunk, or worse yet, a hype. So I'm like telling him, you're supposed to be a man of the cloth. You're supposed to be leading people into the light, not into the darkness, or more into the darkness, worse yet. What's the matter with you? What's wrong with you? So from there, I said, I tell you what, I'm just going to leave, all right? Then whereas he's following me toward the the door of the church, like as if he himself is attempting to impress some of the ladies in there, such as they are, be they members of his church or visitors to that of the same, and was he just a couple himself? I swear to God, he's himself is just literally a couple few inches in back of me, and I'm having to look to my side to make sure he don't sucker punch me. Otherwise, all hell would break out in that church. So far, the WWS, the Worldwide Wrestling, just say the woman, the WWF is what I meant to say, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. Are you ready to rumble? We would have been at it, I would have been attempting, attempting the word for criminal, but what I mean say. As he's attempting to mouth off that much more and act like he wants to attempt to transform is the word I meant to say, transform his negative words, hostility into physically violent actions against me. I would have tried to compare to how he would be attempted, but I come to him in a way that he can understand. If you want to come off like a street punk or skinhead, I would be like acting like one myself as a matter of self-defense, So I would have been trying to body slam him into those church pools and then some. Like you got to bring butt to get butt, I ain't the one. I guess he took it being because he knew me back in the day as a homeless person, so he take it that he can talk to me any kind of way, Oh, he ain't about nothing. I know him from the rescue mission men shelter that I used to go to preach the word of God to. Correction. Excuse me, the word of the devil. A different gospel message. Because his God has to be the devil. If you come off like that, doing the total opposite of representing God's kingdom upon the planet Earth, that's supposed to be the church. If he's mouthing off like someone or such one affiliated, associated with, and representing the other count, of the opposition of the enemy to the blood sacrifice of our Lord and Savior Christ, the Messiah deliverer, who had given his life upon the cross of Calvary to save the lost souls of humankind, And I couldn't believe it. I said, what? So are you serious? For a minute, I thought he was joking, I thought he was playing with me and so forth. Not until within that same minute, whereas after seeing him up in that pulpit, he's standing right alongside of me like he did a 100-yard dash, like a relative of Flo Jo's family, the Olympic star runner, Like, what? How did he get right here so fast? And like, are you serious? Regardless of how he was taller than me, and more or less like something like, what was it? At least twice, if not three times my size. He's talking all this trash. I'm like, you gotta bring butt to get butt, but I ain't going out like that. I ain't your flow mat, I rumble with the best of them, When she was making me want to put on my gorilla suit and say, let's go to war, let's do this here, as I would get into battle mode, But anyway, though, I just left, but at the same time, I'm looking at him out the corner of my eye, like I said before. So I say again to make sure he don't sucker punch me, because I'm thinking, homie ain't going out like that, And like, man, if you touch me, we gonna tear up this church. We gonna tear up this church from floor to ceiling, from wall to wall. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? If I survive the incident of your violent, criminal, physical attack against me, I'm going to sue your butt within a court of law, and I'm going to get my bank, so that you will be less likely to rob from the offering tray, hoodwinking, or hypnotizing any church members and visitors to your church with all that gobbledygook dime a dozen religious hype coming out that hole in your mug, that mouth of yours, mouthing off like one of these televangelist prosperity preachers or false brethren or false prophets or antichrist, whereas I'm going to hurt your wallet and or pocketbook, however said, if you lay one finger on me, only after I resort to self-defense, if we go there, speaking upon those matters. But anyway, though, whereas he was reminding me of or had me reflecting upon a male character of a proverbial neighbor from hell, or public nuisance problem neighbor, and whereas it's enough that I have to deal with what's on my plate so far as getting my place in order for this present residence, regardless of the neighbor from hell making all that racket or different noises while I'm doing household cleaning chores, as he himself be enough as he is be attempting to drive me completely bonkers and or out of house and home, than to think that what I mean say. So I'm getting things squared away so that once the manager or landlord would have come through here, everything is like situated, I got it out the way, okay, and nothing's in a way that would prove to become or be a fire hazard, the entrance and or exit to my apartment, a place of residence, is free, so that should not be a problem, and even so much as got rid of more than quite a few of my clothing items, and whereas now I have that much less of a wardrobe ensemble of attire, okay. I mean, because someone wants to act kind of funny, fickle, I don't know. Then where I'm at, it's not all that it's cracked up to be, because I had looked upon some of such website address that would inform, website, social media website address that would inform prospective future residents or tenants of any building, premises, or properties, real estate, be it public or private, what the approval and or disapproval rating of a particular one within city limits or in the suburbs, where else for that matter, would be like, or the pros and cons of some residential building for the views and opinions to be submitted by different individual persons, collective bodies of peoples. And where I'm at now, whereas I'm hearing about, the roaches and the rodents and the cracked ceilings and a whole bunch of other stuff, and the poor garbage collection, etc. Well, as the mailroom itself would be stinking like shit. Oh, excuse my language, pardon my French. I should have forewarned you all before I had mouthed off that last. I mean, it'd be stinking, rephrase that. It'd be stinking like a sewage dumpster, You know what I'm saying? Like one big toilet bowl. And I'm like, what's going on here? With this building. And I don't be liking that. It be leaving a bad taste in my mouth. I be harkening, garking, how they say, coughing. What in the world? What the damn hell is that smell? Where the damn hell is coming from? Is there like a garbage room in back of the mailboxes or what? What the damn hell, or sewage somewhere in back of the different mailboxes? And I'm like, what? And it smell like skunk or dead dog, practically or possibly in the mail room for this building. You know what I'm saying? So if I could save up some money soon enough for moving expenses as well as to pay annual monthly rent elsewhere And especially when I get to thinking about this one proverbial neighbor from hell, a public nuisance problem neighbor, been of whom has been giving me the business for the longest with his stupid and sick, crazy ass, faggoty, demon possessed ass. No offense is meant to be directed at the much more familiar homosexuals, homos, or faggots for that last mention, I assure you. If you got a problem with that or you take offense, then please take a hike. Go to some other personal chat room and or channel, because I'm not in favor of, or I have a zero tolerance level for any negative internet trolls. I assure you, it wasn't meant to be directed at your male persons. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, anybody and everybody of whatsoever race and whatever walks of life, factions of society, or lifestyle preferences can or could possibly pay a visit to my own personal chat room and our channel. Just don't diss me or act like you're going to take over or force your cowardly bully tears wannabe views and or opinions within my own domain, like you're going to use it as a platform or podium for your garbage or mess, to be venting, like a neighbor from hell, public nuisance problem neighbor, stupid and sick character who assumes that he has a legit personal vendetta or grudge match with me with his negative influences, tipping to have me stoop to his level, and craziness is to do the same thing and expect different results. That's him. Go about with his same old 2-cent power plays or making extreme and excessive noises of different sorts or types upon a daily and nightly basis. Like he has lost his damn mind altogether, And where sometimes I inform the management as manager or landlord of the building, then likewise inform the police, and sometimes I don't. I would think, unless I'm mistaken, a lot of times I just be ignoring it than to, state my grievances as in, submit complaints to the management of the building and to police officials, because I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. It would seem at times if I do the right thing so far as to inform whosoever by going through all the proper policies and procedures of protocol, because little or nothing is being done about him, whereas the manager or landlord be like saying, well, we're looking into it, but obviously, evidently, they never really do, because he continues to go about with his quite regular daily and nightly routine of being a dickhead, a prick, or dickhead prick, or airhead, the likes of characters of brain dead or brainless idiots and or sickos, And then when I tell the police, they be like saying it more was like that, state my grievances, put in my complaints, but then I had yet to remember to get a police report so that I would have that as evidence against him, because the last time I did not, I wasn't thinking, I didn't make a request for one. They did not, request that of a suggestion, advice for me to do so. So they were partly to blame, as well as me myself for not getting a police report, so I could have it on record. The last time I had placed emergency 911 call to the police about this one proverbial neighbor from hell, dickhead prick character, I wanted to dime a dozen public nuisance problem neighbors, he himself in particular, So it kind of worked against me without me having gotten a police report, although I called them, you know. And whereas the police or cops be like saying anyway, well, unless it becomes a criminal matter, then it's still a civil matter, something that you would have to take up with your landlord. So there's really nothing we could really do about this here situation or about him. We can go up there and talk to him, but unless it becomes a criminal matter, we can only do so much, blah, blah, blah. So I've just been ignoring him mainly, mostly. Lately, just retarded, no offense is meant to be directed at the much more familiar mentally challenged for that last mention. So this a stupid of done called sicko. He just keeps on going about with his nonsense because stupid does as stupid feels. He's an antisocial, social reject of society. For whatever could have possibly happened to him as a male youth, coming up throughout the years, be it a father or stepdad may have sexually assaulted or raped or molested him, like some kind of or sort or type of a gay pedophile Catholic priest wannabe. Who can say? But that doesn't mean that he has the right to confuse me with his father or stepdad, because I have done nothing to this jerk. I mean, if you're having problems adjusting to civilian life, then that's when we have shrinks that you could possibly schedule an appointment with. Get in where you fit in. Okay? Everybody wants to become or be somebody. But hopefully not of the likes of cowardly-bullies and or terrorist wannabes or antisocial social rejects who would assume that strength or power is to harass, intimidate, and persecute or terrorize and traumatize their fellow humans. Be one were to be coming off like some sort of such a type of a character of a crank caller or neighbor from hell, or public nuisance problem neighbor, or stalker, or whatever I ever said. And 5 will get you 10, and etc. Because trouble is easy to get into, but hard to get out of. And I myself, personally, being that of my person, am a reasonably sensible, likable, or lovable kind of guy or fella. Anybody that were to get to know me would find that out soon enough, or how they say, with the quickness as well as with the seriousness. But then if you step on my toes or attempt to rub me the wrong way, you would likewise find that with the quickness and with the seriousness that I myself am a force to be reckoned with. Take it for what you want. Not that I mean to brag, but then nevertheless I will go through all the proper policies and procedures of protocol, like civilized, mature, civilized, responsible, sane human being to address an issue of a difference of opinion with another party or person, being of whom is attempting to violate my civil and or human rights, as I would address the issue and stating my grievances within a court of law before a judge, jury, and or attorney or lawyer or counsel for the defense. And because we live in a democratic republic, being a summer such as we have it for our American society, and I'm not going to let somebody attempt to violate my civil and human rights. I don't care if a person is of this race or that race or whatever, or whatsoever race or walk of life, faction of society, or lifestyle preference. You're not going to use me as your floor mat for whatever reason. If you having a bad hair day, be you employed or not, employed or unemployed, or be you a mover or a shaker in society or not, you're not going to use me for a floor mat. You're not going to attempt to violate my civil and human rights, because I'm an American citizen, okay? And I know my rights, especially as that of my person am a, believe it or not, a former paralegal student, whereas I have yet to get back with that educational program. Only after I clear up matters of thousands of dollars of past old school debt, being of which I should not have to pay one red Abraham Lincoln cent for, being that because for the simple reason why I read on purpose. The simple reason being, as I explained, is being that because I had become subject to experiencing what would be commonly called, and likewise be commonly known as that being of a double standard of racial profiling, you know, due to a verbal altercation with another student of another male representing the same sex as we have it for that being uh, the masculine gender of our own human species, and whereas being because he was of a different race than what I myself represent, and they took his word over mine, you know, and from there I got stuck with thousands of dollars of old past school debt, not to mention had to leave the premises of properties for that school facility, whereas justice is supposed to be blind, and whereas I have yet to, put forth the legal argument for that incident, to get this here debt rubbed out. Because I'm not paying something that I don't owe, as a result of developments of a civil and a human rights violation offense, being of the likes that constitute and are complement a double standard of racial profiling, And as black brothers, as usual, are the first fired and the last hired, as the saying goes. And it's rough out here when you got dirty cops misrepresenting that police badge and a uniform, are still acting like it's the old west of the 19th century, shooting unarmed black males in the back. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, but then you Hispanic and Asian males, you know, y'all just barely have it better. I mean, look around. Your civil and human rights are being violated by dirty cops. Maybe not as much as black brothers' civil and human rights are violated by those being male persons, mainly mostly of white boys, sporting police badges and police uniforms. But then even so of other races, policemen. I mean, you got to recognize and realize it's open season on non-white male individual persons, being of the different races of the ethnic minorities, especially if they are Negroid, of the Negroid race, especially if they are colors, Negroes or blacks. Mm-hmm. And they tell you certain things to say when approached by a police officer. Certain things to say, your tone of voice, etc. You got to be very careful out here. Don't make any fast moves. If you are within an automobile or motor vehicle and speaking upon those matters, always present your hands, raise them slowly but surely. Don't make any fast movement. Put your hands on the dashboard, and ask the question, is there a problem, officer? If things seem like it's about to turn into a chaotic situation, they don't say anything. And ask to speak to a lawyer, etc. Don't make any fast hand movements of a physical nature. Don't go about telling a police officer, a cop, I got a loaded revolver or pistol or lethal weapon of a firearm in that of the dashboard of my automobile or motor vehicle. I'm just going to get it for you. I'm going to retrieve it so you could whatever. That's how the last brother got shot dead. And had the white boy of a police officer freak out and pulled out his 6-shooter and popped him. when he heard that. You got a what? Oh, what? What? You threatening me? That's how he got to thinking, you know. Oh, you're one of them cheesy, creepy, crazy kind of guys or fellas. You're threatening a police officer. You tell me you got a gun. You're going to attempt to pop me. That's how I looked at it, you know. So you got to be careful of the words that you use. You know, you shouldn't even volunteer that information, you know. If the police or cops have a warrant to search your ride, your car, your van, your truck, your bus, your train, your plane, your helicopter, your ship, whatever, you don't volunteer any information, you're working against yourself. It's called self-incrimination, you know. Because suppose a lethal weapon of a firearm is hot, you know, on one of the, what would you call one of them lists, you know, for stolen material on a hot list, whatever. Anyway, though, y'all, I'm gonna wrap this up, you know, and I'll get back with y'all later. As I would usually give the intro, I will from there, you know, give that being my views and opinions and speaking upon the subject matter, a couple few or four more, depending on how I feel. Let's give them on time, not giving away any more freebies unless it's of a religious, supernatural, spiritual nature, the content of some social media broadcast, a video of mine. Otherwise, until I get my 4,000 subscribers to get paid for doing any social media broadcasts, videos other than that of a religious, supernatural, spiritual nature, being of a secular one, then I'm not doing it. Maybe once in a blue moon. But then as I will speak upon some such subject matter, then from there, I myself, you know, that's in this to giving the intro, and then I will give last but not least the conclusion of the matter. I paraphrase or speak exactly by saying, if you have not gotten Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, I would hope that you would think to do so now while the blood is still running warm in your vein, by recognizing or realizing what he himself had done or did upon the cross of Calvary, suffering at the hands of the Roman soldiers, upon the orders of their superiors, being religion and otherwise, so that you won't go to hell, but so that you can be admitted to the kingdom of heaven once you will make that transition for the great beyond, and even so be blessed down here while you're upon the planet Earth in this world. You know, first you got to get his salvation before you are to be blessed in any regard. Otherwise, you got nothing coming so far as blessing is concerned. You all take care and be blessed. That's the rest. Peace.